Welcome again. Hope you guys have enjoyed the series so far for those of you who have been with us. My name is Sammy Gleason, and I'm the marketing manager here with our From the Land of Kansas program, which is within the Kansas Department of Agriculture. KDA and K-State Richardson Extension, we're excited you have joined us for our farmers market and direct-to-consumer virtual workshop this year. We hope you're all learning a lot and will continue to learn the rest of the week. Today, we have Kansas sales tax information. I know it's a fun topic and I'm going to learn something as well. Thursday from noon to 1, we have food safety regulations and Kansas Value Added Foods Lab. And then on Friday, we'll wrap up with the Kansas Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program. I know most of you are familiar with Zoom by now. However, I'll just go over a couple housekeeping items during the presentation portion. Please just make sure your mics are muted so we don't interrupt the speaker. If you have questions during the presentation, please drop them in the chat box and we will answer those questions for you. Submitted questions and comments will be monitored by the Kansas Department of Ag and K-State Research and Extension. Amanda will help monitor those here later. Finally, if you registered by January 24th, you should have received your regulations for farmers markets and direct-to-consumer sales or the food labeling publications. If you registered after January 24th, you should be receiving those soon. But if you do have questions, please email us at fromthelandofkansas@ks.gov and we can drop that in the chat as well. I'm going to turn it over to Londa to do a poll again. Londa?
Yes, great. Thank you so much, Sammy. And thanks again to all of you for joining. I recognize a lot of you that have been here all week, which is great. And some of you might be new today as well. So welcome to all of you. And we really want to welcome our presenter today, Lisa Lakem-Jones from the Department of Revenue. So thanks, Lisa. And we can see you, Lisa. So great. So yeah, you can leave your camera on, it's okay. So, but I do want to, before we get going, as I've been saying all week, one thing that I know I always liked about these workshops is getting to know who else is there. But with so many of us, we're not going to go around and introduce ourselves, but we do have a poll that we'd love for you to fill out. So, so you can see which products people are sending or selling or intending to sell. And then also like how you sell your products. And so this year we're adding in what I hope is a nice feature that if you fill out the poll, your name will be put into a drawing to win a door prize from the Land of Kansas program. So, you know, with the registration fee that you paid, we're using those funds to help buy a small door prize for people that are here today. So, so you can work on filling out that poll, and then we'll announce at the end of today who is our winner for today. So great. And I see some things going in the chat of other items that people are selling in addition to the categories that I had listed. You know, I try to remember all the different categories and you know, there's a lot of categories, so I don't always remember them all. So so thank you to those of you for putting stuff in the chat. I think it's always nice to know what other people in the room are selling too, and maybe to get ideas and to know what else, what your local, what your colleagues are selling. So, so I think I'll give it a minute or two more. There's a few more popping in. I don't want anybody to miss their chance to get a prize. Great. Lots of good stuff going in the chat. Really appreciate that. So very good. All right. Well, I think I'm going to go ahead and end the poll. So thanks to all of you for sharing what you're selling. So you can see here we have lots of produce growers here today, which is great. And by the way, I want to mention too, at the beginning of the seminar, the session, we have a list of upcoming events. So you know, you can take a look at those, and we'll share more on that later too. But so fresh whole produce, we got a number of those. We got a lot of meat sellers here today, baked goods sellers, value added foods, honey, flowers, soaps and lotions and a lot of other as well. I see pecans and vegetable starts and lots of good things. So lots of different things people are selling, which is great. And then how are you selling your products? So most of the people here today are selling through a farmer's market, but we do have some farm stand and online and CSA. And I know I've seen people putting in Food Hub and pop-up markets and so on. So lots of good different places people are selling. So appreciate that. All right, so with that, I am going to turn it over to our presenter for today, Lisa Lycum-Jones. Lisa has been with, I don't know how long she's been with the Department of Revenue, but she's been a good partner for most of the time that I've been here, which I've been here 10 years now. So she's been, I know she's been our partner for quite a while, and is very gracious to help answer questions and to help provide information, you know, in a way that is as understandable as possible. So we really do appreciate your time, Lisa, and coming. And we are going to share the recording and the slides on the website afterwards. So you'll be able to access both the recording and the slides from today afterwards. So thanks again, Lisa. And I'm going to pull up your presentation. Okay. I got to get the right thing up, sorry. Okay. Let me.
Well, just to elaborate, I have been with the Department of Revenue since 2016. I started out as a customer service specialist for the entire eastern region of Kansas for special events, and then that merged into working with audit and compliance and education. So that falls right into the partnership with Land of Oz and Londa. So the special events has evolved into covering the entire state with 4 agents. We're based out of Overland Park and out of Wichita. The special events team ensures that all the events and event vendors within Kansas are compliant with those state laws, the tax laws specifically for sales tax. As the agents also work some tax discovery cases and collaborate with our jurisdictional partners. We facilitate in the specific education and tax collection and trying to improve processes to increase the future compliance. We provide tax compliance education to businesses, the community economic groups and municipal partners through as many group presentations as what we can get scheduled. So my background personally is with local public service. I worked with city government doing program of the informational technology and telephony the networks. And this allowed me basically to get the opportunity to serve as KDOR's departmental technical liaison for ongoing improvements with special events, programming their database and to interface with the automated return systems. So when you start talking about how sales tax revenues are used, the business owner selling taxable goods or services, you act as an agent of the state by collecting from the purchaser and passing along the appropriate tax authority. So in addition, the Kansas counties, incorporated cities, and the special taxing districts can impose local sales tax at the local rate added to the state tax rate to arrive at the total. All state, county, and city tax collections are remitted to the Department of Revenue, and we let the state then portion out the designated percentages, as well as definitely working with the State Highway Department. So they were collected using the information provided by the retailers on their tax filings. So what does sales tax apply? You know, you can read the list, but it is actually the retail sales of the tangible personal property. That is for admissions into amusement, entertainment, and recreation services, entry fees for the participation in those, and prepared food tax items. So who must collect and remit those sales tax? It is including most non-for-profit entities that are listed here, the churches, civic organizations, the booster clubs, etc. Even if 100% of the proceeds go to a not-for-profit group, the vendor must collect and remit sales tax on anything sold in Kansas. The most common questions that we get at KDOR from new businesses is, I've registered, now what do I need to do? What is taxable? That's a big thing that we can help with. It changes annually. And what do I find the correct sales tax rate in jurisdictions? We have tools and resources available for you. Knowing the tax rate and when it changes is also on our website, and the end of the presentation will have those links for you. These are tools of your trade. As a business, you owe sales and use tax at the end of the user as the fixtures, tools, and other taxable non-inventory items purchased. The tax rate and jurisdiction, like I said, are links on our website that I will provide for you at the end of this presentation. So the overview of Kansas food sales tax, this is where we get into what's new. For Kansas state sales purposes, food products are separated into two categories. The food and food ingredients, those are available to be using the reduced state sales tax. That applies to the food and food ingredients. Prepared food continues to be taxed at the full 6.5 state sales tax rate. So the tax rate locator will also show both of those rates and jurisdictions that you will need to calculate your tax rate due. If you sell qualified food products subject to the state rate reduction, the publication 1700 for the change of the rate affecting food is available for you to confirm. The next slide will actually go into how this is going to be applied. So the legislature introduced this year. So in 2022, you not only paid the state rate of 6.5, but you paid the local, city, and county rates as well. For 2023, the state rate has been taken off of that, and you are only going to pay the 4%. Okay, they've reduced that. It's a reduction act. In 2024, the state sales tax rate will be 2% added to the local rates, and that state rate will be completely taken to zero by 2025. Only the state sales tax rate is being reduced. The local sales tax is still applicable. So again, this goes over your timeline. And this can change yearly as the legislature goes into session. But as of now, it's on a graduated rate of reduction. And it only applies to the state sales tax. So we can go over some of those definitions. I can see those are basically what's the confusing part. So it breaks it down into categories. So the KSA 793602 is the definition statute for the Sales Tax Act. It does get into a little bit of legalese, but it amends the definition of food and food ingredients. It's found in subsection N. Food and food ingredients means substances, whether in liquid, concentrated, solid, frozen, dried, or dehydrated form, that are sold for ingestion or chewing by humans and are consumed for their taste or nutritional value. Food and food ingredients include bottled water, candy, dietary supplements, food sold through vending machines, and soft drinks. Food and food ingredients do not include alcohol beverages or tobacco. The food and food ingredients qualifies for the reduced. Prepared food will not. So the rate of sales tax, that's okay. The next slide. the rate of the state sales tax to be collected on whether the food product is a food and food ingredient. So if you look at the columns, most grocery store items are going to fall under your food and food ingredients. Foods packaged by a manufacturer, fresh raw food that may be purchased from a bulk vendor or from a local seller qualify as food and food ingredients. And again, that KSA 793602 provides the full definition. Under prepared foods, that is a food sold in a heated state or heated by the seller. Food items that are a result of mixing or combining two or more ingredients and selling the mixture as a single item. Foods sold with eating utensils provided by the seller are also considered prepared foods. Here's more of the definition. These are available for you online to print out for your uses, but this goes over the graduated sales tax rate reduction. Food and food ingredients qualify for that reduction, and those are substances purchased for human consumption and consumed for their taste or nutritional value. There are subsections that are going to go over the definitions of bottled water, candy, dietary supplement, food sold through vending machines, prepared food, and soft drinks. Those are all the new subsections that you can reference. Baked goods does have its own category as well. So again, the food and food ingredients can be liquid, frozen, concentrated, dried, or dehydrated form. Bottled water, candy, dietary supplements, food sold through vending machines, and soft drinks, non-fountain drinks. Okay? Those are food and food ingredients. That's the next two slides here. Again, look to the 793602 for that full legal definition. But if you want to look at it as food ingredients and then as prepared food, that's pretty much the two categories. Okay. So the next would be, what is a prepared food? Food sold in a heated state by the seller is a prepared food. So two or more food ingredients mixed, combined by the seller, sold as a single item would be prepared. Seller providing the hands eating utensils or includes with the food as a normal business practice. Now, we can look through the three, A, B, and C, but this seller providing utensils really does go into, but not limited to, plates, knives, forks, spoons, glasses, cups, napkins, or straws. A plate does not include a container or packaging used to transport the food. So this could be very detailed, and we really need to look at it as item by item. So prepared food does not include a food that is only cut, repackaged, or pasteurized by the seller. Eggs, fish, meat, poultry, or foods containing these raw animal foods that require cooking by the consumer is recommended by the FDA, so to prevent foodborne illnesses is not a prepared food. The exceptions, which we always have those, does include the bakery items. I saw that come up in the chat. Foods that are sold ordinarily require additional cooking by the consumer prior to consuming, as just opposed to reheating. So the example there would be your Papa Murphy's pizza. That's going to come under an exception. A direct sale by a manufacturer, you have to be qualified as a manufacturer type business when you register to qualify as that exception. The meat, seafood, and other food in unheated state sold by weight or volume is going to be an exception. The new section 1B provides the reduction in the state sales tax on food does not apply to prepared food except in certain specified cases. So again, providing the eating utensil means the seller's normal business practice is to physically give or have the eating utensil specifically accompany the food to the purchaser. So eating utensils, I've got them listed again: plates, knives, forks, spoons, glasses, cups, napkins, and straws. Not a utensil if it's used to transport the food. So a plate does not qualify if it's as the packaging of the transport of the food. So I'm just going to keep repeating because prepared food can be confusing, but here's what is going to be your biggest tool, okay? This is a flow chart that you can follow that is your yes, no answers that go right across and get down to whether it is a tax at the reduced rate or if it's taxed at the full rate. Now, there is also a publication on our ksrevenue.gov. It is the KS.1223. This particular matrix is there, as well as what I would call a matrix, and it has the individual item that you may want to look up and let you know whether it is the reduced or full rate. So that is available for you. Also, if you want to talk about internet sales, we've got a screen on that. There are no tax if shipped outside of Kansas, but if it's shipped within the Kansas border, sales tax is due. You can find that tax rate for the shipping address by zip code on ksrevenue.gov. And if your business purchases items from outside of Kansas for that non-inventory use and does not pay tax equal to your jurisdiction sales tax, you would owe consumer compensating use. And that's typically your office supplies and your tools. Okay? So that is a link that is available on internet sales. And that goes into your sale. What is the definition of a rental? Delivery fees, charges to the customer for handling, credit card fees, increases the selling price of the goods, compensate for the credit card charges. The credit card company will later deduct from the payment. It forwards to the retailer's account. All sales are taxable unless specifically exempted. And again, we've got 793692 for the exempt organizations, and the KS 1550 are the sales and use tax for agriculture, if you have any questions about that. Okay, Kansas is considered a destination sourced taxing. Let me see. So that is basically wherever the product is taken ownership of. It's sourced to the seller's business location if the buyer receives it there. If they ship it, it will be the combined sales tax rate that's affected to the location. If the merchandise is purchased by the buyer but shipped to a third party, it's sourced by the seller to the third party location where they take possession. Okay, so that's destination sourcing. So a lot of times there's been some confusion on what you can have a deduction on. That's the difference between income tax and sales tax. Income tax is a taxable income, allows your deductions. So if you've got expenses, if you've got booth rental, if you have travel expenses, that's against your income tax. Sales tax has very few deductions, and there's the definition of what sales tax is. It is collected by the seller, but if you happen to sell to a reseller who's going to sell your product for you, that they would provide you their business registration, and you could have that as a deduction from yours because you sold it to a reseller, but they would have to definitely show you their certificate. So that is some of the things, the difference between income and sales tax. If you are also participating in any of the government voucher programs, that is considered a deduction against your sales as well on your sales tax. So how do you file sales tax? You can register as a business vendor with the state of Kansas, and they will assign you a registered sales tax account. It will start with 004, and then they will give you an account number. This allows you the benefit to be able to file online. They will set you up with a filing frequency on how you project how much sales tax you'll be collecting. That typically goes in as a monthly account. And if you are a registered account and file online, you will be required to file at every filing frequency, even if you've had 0 sales. So we don't want you to think that you only, as a registered vendor, have to make a return when you make the sale. You will need to be filing a 0 return if you have periods that you do not make a sale. So there would be an option to sign up as a seasonal or occasional filer to provide the specific months that you project you will be having sales. But you must remit a sales tax for each event. If you're going to use a special event return and not register, that sales tax is due 30 days after the event. On a farmer's market, we do include your full season as one event. Now, if you attend multiple markets, you will need to file in each market area because the jurisdiction may be different tax rates. Okay, so there is a file of SE return pay that you can pick those up from the coordinator. This is an example of what it looks like. The first page has your certificate. It gives you the name of the market and the 2 rates, the event retailer sales tax rate that includes the Kansas percentage, and then the event that you have a reduced rate for food is also included on this certificate. You'll need to post that in your venue at your booth so that your customers know you are indeed charging sales tax. This comes with some instructions as well that I've just gone over. You must collect and remit sales tax at the rate shown on the return. And it has the event name, and you must file a return even if there were no taxable sales within 30 days of the event back to the return mailing address that's on the form. Okay, so included on the second page of the form is this grid, and it shows you again a repeat of the name of the market, the 2 jurisdiction codes for retailer sales as well as food. It gives you the tax account number we have assigned to the market, and it gives you your beginning and end dates and the due date of your remittance. So you would put your gross food, your gross sales at the line 1, do the multiplication times the tax rate. That's your tax rate collected. Then for your non-food, the same is expected to be listed on the grid. And then you add those together, and that is your total tax due that you would list. Okay, so the top of that form with the grid also allows us to know whether or not you are a registered dealer. So if you'll go to the next screen, Londa, I'm a little bit confusing you, I'm sorry, but there's a checkbox here that asks you to provide us what your assigned tax ID number is so that we can update your special events record and know that you're going to be filing online and not using the special event return. So you can provide that to us on that second page as well and send that back in. So this eliminates us sending any of the reminder letters that we think you have not paid, okay? So the next screen is an example, there you go, on what your payment options are. We do allow for you to let us process that by electronic funds transfer with your signature and that first checkbox, or you can use official payments if you choose to go in and use a credit card. Yes, we do still accept checks. We cannot accept cash, but we do want to make that as quickly processed as possible. So, and just return this form regardless of what kind of payment you plan on making, okay? So if you make a choice as a vendor to include your sales tax within the price to your consumer, you round it up so that you don't have to make odd change. I'm going to provide to you here within this breakdown that shows how you can back out your sales tax so that there's not any question of you've been double taxed. We do not want to do that. So if the tax rate is 8.5% and you've collected $1,200, okay, you're going to take that total collected, divide it by 1 point, the sales tax rate, that would be 1.0895. Then you're going to take your gross of $1,200 and minus whatever that total was, which would be $1,101.42, okay? That comes up with your new gross sales, all right? So then you would take the $1,101.42 and multiply it times the tax rate, come up with the $98.58. That is your sales tax collected. That is what you need to remit back to the state of Kansas, okay? So that's just a little bit of a primer to let you know. So if you have registered a sales tax number, you can go out to the kswebfile.gov. When you register, you have to set up your banking information and set up your new password in the customer service. And that allows you to sign in with your email and your password going forward. Then you click on the account management and it brings up your account listings, which typically you're only going to show your sales tax and your personal income tax, unless you have a business that you have employees and withholding. But you can get into the account listing. Again, the tax rate for, the tax number for sales tax starts with the 004. You can click to continue and save, and you're now set up to file and pay online, okay? So I've got a couple of other examples. The actual tax rate locator that I've been referencing, you'll go into the ksrevenue.gov, click on taxation, business tax, and under there is a blue tab that says tax rate locator. You can look that up by address, and the zip code +4 gives you the absolute correct tax rate for that assigned area. These are effective the first of every quarter. It is your responsibility as a business owner to know and check that out. You can set up to get some rate change email notifications if that's something you would like in your email, but it is your responsibility to verify that, okay? This is the way the tax rate locator screen looks for you. You would click on the underlined address and the zip code, and that would bring it up for you. And this is basically your registration screen as well. So I just wanted to show you how that looked on the ksrevenue.gov website. So I know we have vendors as well as coordinators of markets or farmers markets managers that are attending these. So I wanted to kind of let you know the coordinator's responsibilities. You need to contact us a month before the event so that we can get your packets out for you to have available for the vendors. If we have it at enough time, we are able to mail those from Topeka and allow you to get the actual return envelopes. Makes it easier for the vendor to return that back. 2 weeks before the event, if you are working with a tax clearance research, we request to have a vendor list beforehand. In the tax clearance, it just provides to you to know that all of the vendors that are working in your market are tax compliant, and that there's no risk of having any of our tax warrant activity happen at your market. So that's something that you can talk with your agent about. And the next screen will actually show the areas that we have assigned to markets. I said we had 4 agents that we have tried to break out an even area, and this is done by color coding. So our direct contact numbers are listed below. There's always the general contact email of kdor_special.events@ks.gov that we will get to whatever the appropriate agent is. So you don't have to necessarily memorize this, just that you have it available to you online, so that you have our contact information. Okay. So during the event, you provide the vendor packets out so that they have their returns, and you ask the vendors to display that certificate so that the customers know that we will be charging sales tax. After the event, you just need to return to us the vendor list of all those that participated, whether it was only the first 2 weeks or whether it was the entire market. We try and follow up with them to make sure that the vendors don't have any questions. So if you attend one market that starts in June and goes through October, that is one event. If you go to one that's in Iola, Kansas, and you go to one that's in Garnett, Kansas, that is 2 separate markets, and that would require 2 separate remittances. Okay, so that's why we ask for vendors list. Okay, so that we can follow up and make sure that there aren't any questions, and we can help with guidance on vendors that may want to register their business. All right. Again, if you fail, that's where tax clearance denials for other events, potential legal actions. We could see from your special event history that you're attending multiple events, and we would be required to actually get you registered and advise you of how that can be handled. Okay. So a vendor list example, we just need mailing contact information. Tax ID number is helpful if you know it. If the vendor knows it, he can provide it. Where their street mailing address is, and a phone number and an email is great, but we still need the mailing street address as well. KDOR does communicate by all 3 options. There has been popularity come about with some wineries, and there is, they do come to farmers markets, but those sales can be made. They must obtain a 25% annual permit that is not provided by special events. It is provided by the Alcohol and Beverage and Control, that they'll give them the ability to sell at farmers markets. They can only sell domestic wine in the original and unopened containers that was got by the producer. And those selling wine must be at least 21, which I think most people would assume. But when you remit and pay your monthly, it goes to the liquor enforcement tax, and they have their own return. So that would be information for anybody that would be selling winery. Some of the most scary words that some people have ever heard is, Ronald Reagan once said, the 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I want to help. But we truly do. Okay, we truly do want to provide you the correct forms, tax assistance, whether it be for filing, remitting, or registering. We work with the event coordinators, the vendors, as well as the local authorities to affect sales tax compliance. So I'm sure positive that Ronald Reagan never met any of us, and we are just here to help. So I know there's been questions coming in through the chat. If somebody could help me read through that while I leave this screen up of resources for you that will get you some additional detailed information. Is there any questions that I can maybe help at this time?
Yes, there's lots of questions. So great job, Lisa. Thank you. That was I think that was very helpful. I'm sure that others will agree with me that was helpful. So thanks so much. Let me see. I just want to make sure I get the first list of questions here. So Lisa, I think you answered some of these, but I'll just go ahead and ask them again just to be sure.
Sure.
Because others might have similar questions too. So these tax reductions, so the food sales tax reduction, this is true for farmers markets as well as stores, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. Yep, and somebody else replied too. Okay, so then somebody asked about the definition of prepared food, and I know you talked quite a bit about that later, but like things like salsa or jelly, like they're like canned items that farmers market vendors might sell. Sorry, where does that fit in?
It is under a prepared food.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. So yeah, and baked goods. I know you talked about baked goods in your presentation as well.
Yeah, they have their own category. You know, they do fall in as one of the exemptions. Okay, and I cannot recommend any more strongly than to go out to ksrevenue.org .gov and print off these definitions where you've got your matrix that went across and the individual items from the flow chart and the matrix both, and you can see exactly how it flows down into the reduced rate or full rate. Each item individually is being resourced there.
Thank you. So the next one is a comment, and I was thinking the same comment, and I know that Lisa, you're not necessarily I don't know how this process works actually, but like candy and soft drinks are included as food. Like, why are they included as food? But I was gonna say, I don't think that's your department of deciding those sort of things, right?
No, and I'm very thankful I'm not in that department because I overhear the debate conversations. You know, it's an example of a cake pop. Okay, yeah. They're on a stick, right? Well, that's a serving utensil. Go figure.
Interesting.
So yes, I just, like I said, please go out to the KS 1223, look at the matrix in Appendix C and see your individual item that you're speaking to and flow it across.
And talk to your local food policy council or your legislator or whatever if you want to have things changed.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So, okay, good. Spice mixes was another question, and again, you might have. Where did they fit into the categorization?
It's still a food and food ingredient because you cannot eat it unless you mix it with either mayonnaise or sour cream, and that's going to be done by the consumer. So it is still considered, the mixes are still considered food and food ingredient.
Okay, thank you. What about hummus and dips? Things like that. Hummus or dips.
If it's already mixed and is being sold as packaged, it would be a prepared food. If it is a dry ingredient that the consumer is going to mix something with, they're going to put the tomatoes with the salsa to make it. Then it would be under prepared food.
Thank you. Okay, another example. So would a salad bowl with like salad mix, assumably lettuce and leafy greens, carrots, tomatoes, and cucumbers be considered a prepared food?
Yes.
Okay, somebody made a comment. We used to be able to print our sales tax certificate off the website. That would be handy now if we need to post at multiple markets. Do you want to speak to that, Lisa?
The generic return is still online, and they can, it's CTE-50, and they can still print that, and they would have to fill in the blanks for all of the event information that's provided. The customized return is not available from anyone but either us as an email or from the market coordinator. That is not available online and never has been. But the generic is, and you can look up the information from the tax rate locator and fill in the blanks, and you can use the generic for any market that you wish.
The next question, I know you answered this. Can we still file with a check? And the answer is yes, is my understanding, right? Okay, good.
Yes.
Okay, if I pay online each month, will there be a double entry for food and non-food within the filing form?
It's on page 3, and you'll enter in your jurisdiction, just like if you had sold in multiple different counties. There is a separate jurisdiction for the food versus the regular retailers. And that was shown on the return. So if Overland Park has a jurisdiction of OVEJO for retailer sales, the food jurisdiction is going to be JOOVE. They've just flipped them. But there are 2 separate jurisdictions with separate tax rates, and they will be accepted on the 3rd page of your retailer's return.
Great, thank you. Next question, how would I handle tax on a gift basket that has both prepared food and produce?
I'd like for you to look this up under the matrix, honestly, but I believe it would be considered a prepared food because you have packaged it all together. Okay? It's not sold by weight. It's sold as a single item, and it's been packaged. So that would be under prepared food.
Okay, the next question is, I live in the county but sell in the city. Can I use only the zip code, not the +4, just the 5-digit zip code?
It will give you a result with the 5-digit zip code. The recommendation of adding that additional 4, which you can get off of the US Postal website, is because there are so many specialized jurisdictions within cities. Wichita, Overland Park, some of those bigger cities have special rates like on their Riverwalk or common areas, and they're not going to be able to show you that if you don't give the specific 4 digits in addition. And I don't want anybody to be caught off guard with that.
Okay, the next, I think I'm gonna skip over this next one because I'm not sure what the intent of this one. And Emily, if you want to re-clarify, you can put that in the chat. Your weight for every farmer's market. So I'm not sure what that question was referring to. Okay, if I have a sales tax ID number, do I have to register for every event? And can I only register for 4 events in the state of Kansas?
If a person already is registered and they have their own personal sales tax number, they can attend as many events as they like. The only restriction of 4 events is if they're using the customized return for each event. As a special event return, we can only take attendance up to 4 in a 12-month period. That is when you are not registered. Then you're using the customized special event return is when you're restricted to 4. Does that help? I hope.
Yeah. And yeah, Rebecca, if you have Rebecca Jester, if you have questions on that, please feel free to put that back in the chat. Okay. All right. Here's a few more questions about the prepared food definition. I'm sure you'll be getting lots of these. Okay. So popcorn and kettle corn, maybe I'll stop with that one because there's a bunch of them.
Yeah. If you are stirring the kettle corn and they are taking it and eating it right away, it is considered prepared food. If it is packaged up with a bow and they are buying it, it's considered manufactured. So again, I should have had that matrix out in front of me, but please do reference the 1223 matrix so that you can confirm.
Okay, so the next question is kombucha.
Can I get some emails on some of these? Because I honestly, it's new for everybody and I don't want to mislead. A cup of coffee is going to be considered prepared because you're handing it to them and they're walking off drinking it, you know, but I don't know that kombucha is the same because where I've found that is that it's, I mean, if it's served as a hot or cold drink and they're taking it away, it's considered the same as coffee.
I know we get similar questions to that on with regulations as well. And Adam will talk about that more tomorrow. Like it makes a difference if they're buying it intending to drink it at the market or they're buying it intending to drink it at home.
Exactly.
There's differences for sales tax now and for regulatory.
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah. Okay, so Emily Lyson, please just email Lisa with your specific questions. So we'll keep going.
Absolutely.
We'll keep going through. Thank you, Lisa. Okay, another question, just to reiterate, all I need is a sales tax ID. Anything else?
As a new business registering, yes, a sales tax ID is all you need to be able to file online and move forward. But if you're just getting started and you're trying to figure out how many events you may attend, you can use the customized returns without registering. Okay. And I do see another one here. Does every farmer's market need to contact and submit a vendor list? And yes, they do. That is part of the coordinator's, farmers markets manager's responsibility, is to let us know what vendors they provided those special event returns to.
And then Lisa, you have a nice comment in the chat here. Thank you, Lisa. Every time I've had to call, I've been treated beautifully. Thank you for all your work. So thank you.
Very good. Good to hear. Thank you.
Yeah, good. Okay, again, you might have answered this, but okay, at a farmer's market, I will sell items that are taxable and then some that are not taxable. How will that get reported?
Well, like we went over on the grid, there are two separate lines for items that you have a gross on that you charge the full tax rate, including the 6.5 and the city and the county taxes. And then there is a line item on that grid that is for the reduced tax rate for the foods that qualify. Then you calculate both of those totals and add them together to make your remittance. Does that help?
Thank you. Okay, so there's more comments in here about why is salsa prepared fruit and candy is not. And I guess that goes back to the earlier comment, you know, go through your local food policy council or to your legislature or something to discuss.
I don't have the motivation behind that to let you know how the decisions were made.
Yeah, yep. Okay. Okay, I make chocolate covered peanuts. Are they considered prepared food or candy?
Candy.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so okay, the question here, let me see. Market coordinators need to reach out before events. So what does that mean? Like every farmer's market, or because you'd said market coordinators need to reach out to KDOR before.
Yes.
So what does that mean exactly?
Well, there is a form that they can send us that's available online. It's the CTE 51, and it lets us know how many vendors you are estimating are going to be attending. So they need to let us know 14 days in advance so that we have time to send those packet requests to Topeka and get them mailed out to you before the event starts. So that's why I say you need to contact us. Either send us a copy of that form or give us a call and let us know that you plan on having a market. It's going to be every Saturday. It's going to be every Wednesday. It's going to be both, 2 separate markets, whatever your plan is, so that we can get you the correct vendor packets.
Great. So it's not, you don't have to do it every Saturday, but just once a year, once a season.
For each season, yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right, good. Okay, what about live plants? For example, a tomato plant versus an herb plant? how would those be taxed?
I believe they go for the full tax rate. They are not considered. I don't know that there's a category for edible plants. I'd have to look it up.
Okay. And
I really do.
Of course, we still have on this page here the website and so on, so you can look it up there too. Okay, I know we're getting close to 1 o'clock here. Is there a tax table available with the rates? And
yes.
So, okay, thank you.
The tax rate locator will show you both rates, whether it's the regular retailer sales, including all 3 percentages, or whether it's the food tax rate. It'll show up on that tax rate locator.
The next question, can we share this video with our vendors if they were unable to attend? And yes, Lisa's saying yes, and we're putting it on the website, the workshop website after today. So you'll be able to, anybody can have it, it's not password protected or whatever, so anyone can have access to it. So yeah, we definitely want to share the information. Okay, good. And Robin put in the link. Okay, and then yeah, there's some more. Okay. I file online. Will the form show the new unprepared food tax in that jurisdiction?
It should bring it up. Then it's like I said, it's on page 3 where you actually go in and list by each jurisdiction what your gross sales were.
Great. Okay, I make a garlic powder. Is that considered a prepared food?
I would sell it as a food ingredient.
Yeah, okay. Good. Okay, yeah, some more comments about soft drinks. I agree. Okay, does every farmer's market need to contact KDOR and submit a vendor list?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, yep, okay.
There's another question. I'm sorry, go ahead, Londa.
No, it's okay. I was gonna say, does each business this person owns need to have its own tax ID number if they sell different things?
No, a sales tax number encompasses all of their businesses that I'm aware of. Now, if they're selling jewelry and they're selling furniture and it's in 2 different stores and they want 2 different tax rates, that's something they'll need to decide with their tax accountant. But typically it's all used under one sales tax number. It's not associated with a tax rate unless it's they're selling it from a what I call a brick and mortar store.
And
it's
Lisa,
the type of business.
Lisa, do you need to jump off right at 1, or can you keep answering questions? Are you okay to answer a few more? Okay.
Sure.
We're getting close to the end. So, if people need to jump off at 1 o'clock, we understand, but if Lisa's happy to answer, I'll keep asking. Let's see. Okay. So besides giving our vendors the packets and letting them know to display their certificate, are the market managers responsible for enforcing each vendor to collect sales tax?
No, they are not responsible. Each individual vendor is responsible for their own filing, but the vendor list is the critical piece from the coordinators or farmers managers to let us know the vendor did attend your market. That's all you need to do. And then it's on us to do the follow-up for the compliance.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, is there a spreadsheet that combines the state and local tax rate separated out all in one place?
A spreadsheet for every single, no, not that I have available to me. There is online KS 1700, and that is the sales tax rate listing for every county and city that has one. Okay, so again, it's the KS-1700. That'll get you the sales tax rates.
Great, thank you. And Emily, I'm sorry, I'm not sure what question this is here. Even if all of our farmers market vendors have their own sales tax certificates, so I'll let her put if she has a.
If they are all registered vendors, we appreciate that. And you don't have to provide them any forms if they're not looking for verification of the sales tax rate and that information. But just because they have, they say they have a sales tax number, we need that on a vendor list so that we can look them up and confirm that they haven't, expired, that they're not set up just under one jurisdiction, and help them through their filing process.
Thank you. Okay, if freeze-dried foods are not cut, etc., are they considered food? What if mixed fruits, such as blueberries, blackberries, are all in the same container?
Meaning a frozen food versus fresh?
Well, freeze-dried, like if they're whole, I think, like if the blueberries whole.
I think the key is going to be if they're packaged, they're going to fall into a category.
Okay. Okay. I'm a single operator vendor at a market and I'm very busy at times. Is there an easy process to keep food and non-food items separated to run numbers when the market is over?
That would be basically how you set your tables up. I don't have any, how do I want to say, template for that. Typically, if you're going to weigh the product, it's going to be in one section. If it's something that needs to be cooked, it's going to be in another section. Food and food ingredients are going to be packaged by the manufacturer. Fresh, raw food that may be purchased from the bulk vendor or from a local seller like yourself is going to fall under food and food ingredients, unless it's a bakery item, unless you've packaged it. So I would just, you can set up 2 different cash drawers if you like, but you're going to have to go back to your point of sale vendor on making sure that they help you categorize your swipe sales. Because if any of you will look at your receipts as you're coming from a grocery store today, they are all categorized differently, and that's done with your point of sale vendor. So they would be another good resource for you to reach out to. That's not something the state can help you with.
Thank you. Okay, so Lisa, from your perspective, who would we contact at the state with our concerns about the food categories? Like what's categorized as a prepared food and what's not? What department or committee, et cetera, is responsible for categorizing the items?
It's gone through policy and research, and then down to our auditor crew. So I would start with the policy and research folks, and I will have to provide that to you, Londa. I don't know what their email address is right off, but the tax and policy group is available. You just write your letter and explain to them where your position is. If this is candy, why isn't this kind of question? And then they will be able to provide you their backup strategy of how that decision was made. It's the tax and policy research group.
Great. Thank you, Lisa. That's very helpful. And there's lots of other good comments in the chat. So thank you for everybody for sharing things. If we still have questions, where can we get food questions answered? And is this where I just advanced the slide to your contact information? Is that the answer to that?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I would be a start, but I can tell you that I'm learning this just like you are. We're trying to make our forms as legible and clear as possible, but it does boil down to the tax and policy group that's going to make any changes and give you any kind of additional, how do I say, overrides or leeways. It's going to come from that group.
I think there's just a few more questions, Lisa, so thank you so much for hanging in there.
Sure.
If you're using Square, Oh, they're just, okay, this is not a question. They're just saying if you're using Square, you can easily set up which category you are bringing up your items. Okay, so thank you. Okay, so then there's one person is saying maybe give 2 receipts, one rung up as food and the other receipt as not food. Is that a good idea? Or
that would be a record keeping system that you would have to take on. So that's entirely your choice.
Yeah, okay. I think this is the last question. If we sell our pecans in a package, is it a prepared food?
If it's packaged, yes.
All right. So lots of thanks to you, Lisa. There's a lot of good thanks coming in the chat. So I'm going to turn it over to Sammy. So thanks again, everybody.
Thanks, Vonda. And thank you, Lisa. That was really good information and lots of questions that we got answered. So we appreciate you. The drawing winner is Travis Bloom. So he is winning Twisted Pepper Soup Mix and Spun Honey from Spring Creek Honey in Medicine Lodge, Kansas. So we'll send that to you, Travis. We have your information at the conclusion of the webinar series. So at the end of the week, we'll send out a survey. If you could take that short survey, we would appreciate it so we know how to make these sessions better and improve. Also, a reminder, you'll receive an email with the recordings as well, so you can share those recordings with your vendors. If you have any other questions, please contact us from the land of Kansas at ks.gov, or you feel free to call us at 785-564-6755, and we can drop that in the chat. And thank you. Sorry we ran a little overtime today. We appreciate you. So have a good afternoon. Bye.